Welcome to Globe Watch with me, Charles Ebune. The television is one of the most important elements through which mass communication is done across the world simply because it is a mass communication tool. My guest today is somebody in a double capacity. He is my boss and at the same time the chairman of the International Radio and Television Union. He has extraordinary ideas proposing the creation of a World Peace TV amongst other initiatives as the president of URT. So what can his mandate offer to those listening to radio and television stations across the world? Amadou Vamoulke is my guest. The president of UTIR and the director general of the Cameroon Radio Television, Amadou Vamoulke, welcome to Globe Watch.
Thank you for inviting me.
You have a new wonderful idea which you have called the creation of World Peace TV. Where did that idea come from?
Thank you for the question too. Well, I should say that the idea came from the fact that having been elected chairman of URT, which is, as you said it, Union on Radio of International Radio and Televisions, well, I've had to think about the future of the organization that was created in the late 40s, that is a few years after World War II. And the organization is not functioning very well. So having been elected a few years back, I thought that it was my responsibility to rethink the organization, as people are wondering, the members are wondering whether the organization still has the same worth as 70 years back, and some of them are resigning, others are not paying their membership.
We have so many television stations across the world. What will be specific in terms of content and in terms of utility in that television station which you are canvassing support for its creation and its existence?
No, it is still important that I explain why. How the idea came about.
Okay, how did the idea come about?
Yes, the idea was, I was reconsidering the whole of the literature about URT during the past decades, and I said, is there anything wrong with the objectives? If there is nothing wrong with the objectives, then are the means adequate? The objectives, you certainly remember the preamble of the UNESCO statutes. They
building peace in the minds of people.
Oh, yes. And unfortunately, we have come to terms with the fact that now there are so many media, radio, television, internet, that if we just keep that objective of building peace in the mind of people, it cannot go just through traditional radios, public radios and televisions. Whereas, as the scholars now say, the overflow is not a problem. The problem is the filter failure. So my intention was to propose, because it is just in my thinking, but the proposal has not yet been made at the General Assembly of URT. Well, I say, can we create a filter that is appropriate so that out of the millions of information that the world is producing, what can be selected and directed to the minds of
ordinary citizens. You just spoke about UNESCO. This idea took you a few weeks ago to Paris, France to meet
last week to meet
the Director General of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, Irina Bokova, who herself happens to be guest on this program to expose this project. What did you discuss with her, and what was her response to your project?
Well, I think that I made the case of the renewal of the organization, given that UNESCO has been at the creation, at the origin of that organization. So I wanted her to know that things are no longer moving as they did in the past, and that it was the time to change. If not the objectives, at least the means. So she graced me with the favor of receiving me for almost 45 minutes. And she listened with keen interest to what I told her. And she told me, yes, we'll give a follow-up to your desire. And I enjoyed the fact that, or appreciated the fact that she received me with her deputy and with the two other of her collaborators who were taking notes. And I believe that...
to show the importance she attaches to the project.
Yes.
But throughout the interview, just in your opening statements, you started by saying that the organization has problems today. What kind of problems are present at UT today? This is something which is plus 60 years of existence. Is it financial? Is it human resources? Or is the entire structure which is sick?
Financial, certainly, given that not all members are paying.
How many members are there today?
There are very many. If you distinguish between founding members and others, I think they are up to 50 or 60 members.
Okay.
Most of them are public organizations, that is public broadcasters, radio and or television.
Okay.
The problem of visibility and of worth, the worth of the organization. It is not, I mean, the connection between the worth of the organization and the way it is being handled. I mean, when people resign, some of them, I mean, organizations, when they resign, some of them say we are moving through dire situation in Europe, we don't have money to contribute. Others say we don't really see what we are doing, what is the specific contribution of UT nowadays. Others say, no, the way it is run is inappropriate. So we came in and brought in new ideas that seem to enthuse people to whom they have been exposed hitherto. And we have the impression, after having spoken to the Director General of UNESCO, that we can change directions and change the...
You are the president or the chairman of UT today. When you listen to the arguments provided by the various member countries who are either founding members or who have joined after creation, are you convinced that with the flora of television stations we have in the world today, it is necessary to have such an organization today?
Yes, for one single and simple reason. When you wake up in the morning listening to radio and television, well, all you hear is about the world being in a mess. But still, there are good reasons to have hopes, to expect that there is something that can be done or that is being done on this world that will save humanity from perishing, you know, in wars and useless quarrels. So that's why I came up with the idea of having a dedicated media from which the other traditional members can tap. You know, if you, CRTV, for example, if you have the possibility to listen to people who are dedicated to peace, let's talk about this young lady that is from Pakistan, who won
Malala Yousafzai,
yes,
who won the youngest Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Yes, this young girl or young lady if you have some content to offer or to be given, to be offered on her for free, I think that it may interest your director of programs here. And many other things. There are initiatives that are taken here and there, even at the level of villages, that can change the perception of humanity in the minds of many people. And I think that can change the global...
Do you have the impression, you are the Director General of the largest audiovisual broadcaster in Cameroon, the state-owned Cameroon Radio Television. Do you have the impression that public broadcasters and privately owned television stations, radio stations across the world have not done enough to send the message of peace across the world, and that is why the World Peace TV is necessary? Do you have the impression that we have not done enough?
Yes, for the simple reason that they are generalist media. That means that they have to talk about
they deal on a wide range of issues.
Life, yes. But now you have a channel that is dedicated. It is only about peace. There you can have psychologists, biologists, politicians, organizers of...
biologists to talk peace from a biological perspective.
Yes, because it has to do with the brain, you know, brain, emotion. There are many things that can be said about why there is no peace in the world from a biological perspective.
Mr. Director General, so how do you intend to manage this project? How do you intend to convince member countries during the next UT General Assembly meeting to say that, look, this idea is unique, it is innovative, it is specific, please let us send this idea across? Because I'm sure that you have resistance.
Yes, but I think that the project as a whole is consistent. And being consistent, people who are well-meaning and honest and yes, they can easily be convinced, and those who have bad faith, this is another issue altogether. So I'll make the case as I did it with the Director General of UNESCO, and I hope that it will reap some results. And especially I would say that I don't have specific problems with my members. I think that they elected me, meaning that they have some faith in my ability to run the organization.
I know that you travel a lot. I know that you read a lot. What have you seen through your readings, through your travelings across the world, that you have not seen on any traditional media that we have, that you think that World Peace TV would deliver? What have you seen in particular? What cultures have you encountered? What specificities?
There are many things to say. You know, in Mali, there is, let's say, a zone, an area that is inhabited by Fulanis. You have the same people here. But if you go there in the Wasulu zone, you have Fulanis that belong to various religions, for example. Some of them are Christians. Many of them, or most of them, are Muslims. Others stem from traditional religions. And if you can present, present such a situation in a country like Cameroon or Nigeria, where 100% of Fulanis are Muslim, then it will strike a chord in their mind. Is it possible to be Fulani?
Yeah, because the story is that Boko Haram, Christians and Muslims shouldn't meet.
Yes.
Al-Qaeda, Muslims and Christians shouldn't meet. Al-Shabaab.
You have it. So that is a kind of event that is not, or a situation that is not known to just everybody. And if you have the possibility to show it, then it will certainly strike a chord. Not make people change religion, but say that it is possible, what you have never imagined.
To live in a multicultural community.
Yes.
Without conflictual situations like
yes.
we see in Nigeria, Cameroon, Somalia.
And you said it. That's what I'm thinking.
You have a huge task in front of you. Will you succeed to convince American broadcasters? For example, in the United States, there is no public broadcaster. There is no state-owned media. So how are you going to deal with that?
There are many levels of membership.
Okay.
Yes, organizations can be members too. But I think that the attracting force is that of contributing to peace. I think that many people would like to have an opportunity to contribute to world peace and have not been given that opportunity. So I believe that, anyway, up to now, all those to whom I've spoken about, reinventing URT and including the idea of the world peace television, all of them have received with a certain enthusiasm the idea. So the bulk contribution of URT is not the world peace. It is something we have in mind, but it is the restructuring of the organization that is our...
You just spoke of financial difficulties. Most Europeans, you say, are not contributing today, just like many other countries. But you see in Italy, for example, the Mario Monti caretaker prime ministership reduced up to 2.2 billion euros in the reconstruction and maintenance of the Colosseum, which is one of the most attractive tourism element in Italy. Why do you think that a sector like tourism, which attracts and brings a lot of revenue into Italy, will have budgetary cuts, and then they will say that let us continue to give our contributions to an organization which some people consider dead today, called URT?
Yes, and the fact is that the Italian public radio television, RAI, has resigned from URT, but I don't think it is for good reasons or financial reasons, because their contribution is just 2 or 3 times the one of CRTV, which is about $8,000 or yes, $8,000 or euros. So even if a country is facing difficulties, I don't think that the kind of savings they want to do on expenditures are the type of money that is paid to organizations like UT.
Okay.
Yes. So to me, you know, we faced here what they call the structural adjustment, and today it is considered a mistake that they put all structures in the same
level.
Yes, at the same level or in the same van. You cannot, because you have financial problems, diminish a budget of a hospital. You may do it with another organization.
You do strategic budget cutting. So
yes.
let's take some few questions about CRTV. URT, which you are chairman, is in a transitional situation, just like the Cameroon Radio Television, where you are the Director General, because we are progressively moving to digital broadcasting. And those who watch CRTV, when they meet some of us around the streets of Yaoundé, Boya, and Douala, and they say that, you know, Amadou Vamoulke is running a farce, which is not a reality. How do you convince them that CRTV is really moving to digital broadcasting?
First of all, I think that everybody who watches CRTV sees from, on a day-to-day basis, changes coming and shown to them. So unless you are of bad faith, you cannot but recognize that CRTV is changing. Now, as for the rest, well, let them come and see the transmitters, the new transmitters being installed. Let them come and see all the computerized equipment that will have to...
Well, Mr. Director General, they will tell you that Well, you may say that they have bad faith, but they will tell you that you appointed officials, the board nominated them, and they said that there will be 6 channels, no dates of opening, nothing, 6 channels. And they ask the question, CRTV is unable to run a single channel, but they claim they want to run 6 channels. Is that realistic?
It is. It is. We held a 4-hour meeting today to fix all the time frame. When are we going to launch the first channel? When are we going to launch the second and the others? So everything has been decided.
Can you give them any specifics for the one everybody is waiting for the moment, the CRTV news channel? When is it coming on?
Well, I believe that probably at most in 3 months.
In 3 months' time. One blame of our viewers, those watching CRTV, is that this is the only television channel on earth where programs don't start on time, where they don't end on time. How do you solve this problem? If you tell Cameroonians that on Sunday they will have Sunday press at 9 p.m., it will never be on the air.
Never? Are
Simply,
you serious?
it will never start on the air
Certainly
at 9 p.m. It will never
not.
start on the air at 9 p.m. And that is what we have told the audience. And the French news in particular has never ended on time. Mr. Director General, why is it that in CRTV the French news will never end on time? What is so special in that news that it is always too long?
You are supposed to know better than me because you are running a program. And I think that maybe you are part of the problem. The runner of a program or the director of the program. I don't know exactly what happens, but I did not have the impression that the few cases where we do not start on time can be generalized to the situation. Especially as the program is run by a computer. So maybe you can complain that sometimes we don't do what we have to do on time, but it cannot be a general rule.
Okay, probably the last question before we separate. In front of me is a decision you just signed, ordering all producers and those who run programs in CRTV that their programs limit for CRTV to remain a professional channel must be 13 minutes, 26 minutes, 52 minutes, 88 minutes. You know what, Mr. Director General? I have some of your directors who have told me that they will never respect this text. Do you regret signing it?
No, especially as it is the standard all over the world.
But they have told me that this is outdated, that this is something of 1920.
All right. So you prefer to believe them rather than me? What I'm telling you is what should be and what is going to take place.
And this is what is going to take place.
Of course.
This means that, as you have written on this text, if somebody does not do this program for 30 minutes, 26 minutes, 52 minutes, 88 minutes for a program which is regular, it should never be aired, right?
Well, this is so it might be aired, but the gentleman who is responsible for this is certainly going to be sanctioned.
It's going to be sanctioned.
Yes.
I just want you to tell our audience if you have any good news for them in the days ahead vis-a-vis CRTV.
Well, neither God nor Godfather, but I think it suffices for me to tell them that this CRTV house is, as has already been said, the heart of the nation. It is their house. We want to rely on them to create, produce, and air excellent programs. And we are going to improve our output day by day because new equipment are going to come to be acquired, and the staff is there, more and more enthusiastic. So I believe that CRTV every year will never be like the past year.
Okay, finally, Mr. Director General, I asked you a question I have asked earlier on this program, and this question was asked by a Cameroonian in the diaspora. And I put the question to Cameroon television head Charles Ndongo, one of our celebrated journalists in the country. There is no debate about that. And the question was, The French news is always too long. It will never end on time, and they don't understand why the French news is always longer than the news in the English language. As the Director General of CRTV, the person responsible for the final content of news on this channel, why does the French news never end on time?
Well, I think that the best placed person to give an answer is the director, the central director of television. Because to my view, there has never been any instruction that the French program should be longer than the English one. And to some extent, it is not an advantage being longer, because as you know, you have to manage the mind of the viewer that is not always willing to listen to newscasts that never end. So if what you are saying is the reality, then the English cast is more professional than the French cast, newscast.
The chairman of URT and Director General of the Cameroon Radio Television, Amadou Vamoulke, I'm afraid we have to end here. Thank you very much for being guest on Globe Watch.
Thank you for having me, and I wish you well. I see that you are doing a good job, and I encourage you to continue.
You're welcome.
It.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you.
sir.